Chapter 7. A Conversation with Anastasia's Grandfather. This took place on the day following her great-grandfather's passing. Footnote, described in Book 6, Chapter 3, An Invitation to the Future. Usually when loved ones pass from our lives, relatives offer expressions of sympathy. The last little while, Anastasia's grandfather never left his father's side. Now that he is all alone, I decided to seek him out and talk with him, to take his mind off of his sorrow, as is customary. I knew pretty much where I could find him, so I headed over to the neighboring glade. Anastasia's grandfather was standing motionless at the edge of the glade, watching and listening to the nutcracker birds twitter on the branches. Footnote, nutcracker birds. In Russian, these are known as either nut birds or cedar birds. He was wearing a long shirt made out of nettle fibers and some kind of rope belt. He was barefoot. I knew that residents of the taiga took care not to interrupt each other's train of thought. I began to realize on just how high a level this culture of communication actually was. It speaks of the great respect that they have for each other's thinking. After some time, Anastasia's grandfather turned and headed over in my direction. As he approached, I could detect no trace of sorrow on his face, which manifested its customary kind-heartedness. "Good day to you," he said, offering me his hand as we exchanged greetings. In our conversation, he always structured his sentences in terms of modern, often quite mundane usage, sometimes making a joke or teasing me, though never insultingly. On the contrary, he had a way of making you feel at home, as though you were chatting with a member of your own family. He was somebody you could talk with very easily on any subject, even on topics men bring up when there are no women around. Undoubtedly, many of Anastasia's abilities were inherited from her parents and ancestors, as well, of course, as from her grandfather, who had, after all, played a hands-on role in her upbringing. Undoubtedly, many of Anastasia's I already read that. What knowledge of life, what abilities lay hidden in this gray-headed elder, who 100 years on had lost none of his keenness of mind and youthful agility. With me, he spoke in very simple terms, although one time I overheard him talking with his father. Well over half the words he used were ones that I had never heard before. It means that in talking with others out of respect for them, he makes use of their lexicon and manner of speaking. "Well now, how are things going in your civilized society? Are people starting to wake up?" asked grandfather with a hint of jocularity. "Things are going okay," I responded. "There are some scholars who have taken an interest in Anastasia's ideas. Various groups are working on national development programs based on her proposals. This is happening not only in Russia, but in other countries as well. But it's not clear just yet when all the marvelous things, as she put it, will actually come to pass, either in our country or abroad." "It has all happened already, Vladimir. The main thing has been done." "What do you mean by the main thing?" "Anastasia has created a thought, an image of a future state, and she has done it with her usual meticulous approach, right down to the last detail, and how thoughts will be materialized in a future reality. Now you and a lot of people will be able to see this splendid future materialized. The energy of her thought is extraordinarily strong. and her strength has no equal anywhere in space. It is perfect and quite specific, but the main thing is that she keeps on gaining strength thanks to the help of other people's thinking. She is no longer alone. So you tell me that groups of scholars in various countries are working on national development programs, and entrepreneurs are starting to build up the domains she thought up. And her thought has been perceived by many people, young and old. Once these people have had contact with her thought, they are creating thoughts of their own. The thoughts of all these people merging together are filling space with an energy of unprecedented strength, and this energy is materializing a splendid future. Already one can see partial manifestations of this materialization. But what if someone deliberately started to obstruct this materialization of the future? I asked. The priests, for example, who now rule the world. Let's say the high priest himself began obstructing it. He will not obstruct it. He will help it along. How can you be so sure? I have heard his conversation and I have seen his thought. What conversation? When? How did you see it? Vladimir, you have probably already guessed that my father was one of those priests. Actually, I had no idea. Well, you might have guessed. Although outward simplicity and the ability to conceal one's abilities and possibilities is one of the most important components of their power, there's no way that they're going to brag about the weapons in their arsenal the way leaders of the world's great powers do. The priests are capable of aiming these weapons wherever they like by directing the leader's thoughts, by bringing about corresponding situations. And they never had any thought of bragging about themselves in public. Their major secret goal over the millennia has been to achieve a dialogue with God. No matter how they've acted, they have never feared divine revenge, knowing that God has given full freedom to each man, and he will not break his promise. They have been controlling mankind, torturing it even, thereby showing God that they are more capable than anyone else, that the fate of the Earth's civilization depends on them. This kind of situation, they figured, ought to compel God to enter into a dialogue with them. Only there hasn't been any dialogue. And now it has become clear why it has been totally out of the question for the priests to have a dialogue with God.